Hi everybody, Joe Brady here, and I'd like to talk with you today about something very basic on the camera that is also very misunderstood, and it's the PASM dial on your camera. We're going to talk about which setting to choose and why. Now the PASM dial is this thing right here on the top, and it has these different letters. Well, we're going to talk about what they mean and when you might want to make a choice of one over the other. These letters stand for the different operating modes of program, aperture priority, shutter priority, and full manual. Now, despite the opinions of some, they are all valid ways of shooting for everyone from casual to professional photographers. So let's take a closer look at what each choice does and when you might want to select it. Let's start with program mode. In program mode, the camera automatically sets the aperture and the shutter speed for you, but you have control over other settings like ISO, exposure compensation, and flash. Program mode provides a balance between automation and manual control, making it suitable for quick shooting situations where you want to have the camera handle most of the settings. Now, program mode is probably the closest thing you'll see on your camera to the way your phone works. Now, I've heard people make fun of program mode and say that the P stands for professional in a mocking way. That is silly, and there are times when it might be the perfect choice for what you need to do. The next setting is aperture priority mode. Aperture priority means that you choose the aperture, the opening through which the light enters the camera. You choose that manually, and then the camera adjusts the shutter speed automatically to give you a proper exposure. This mode is useful when you want to control the depth of field, for example, how much of the image is in focus. Select a larger aperture, the smaller f number on your camera, for a shallow depth of field. That will give you a blurred background, or a smaller aperture, a larger f number, for a larger depth of field, which will give you more in focus from close to far. The third one is shutter priority, typically an S, or in some cameras it has TV for time value on it. In that case, you choose the shutter speed while the camera adjusts the aperture for proper exposure. Now, this mode is useful when you want to control the motion in your images or when you need to counteract the movements of a large telephoto lens. Choose a faster speed to freeze action like sports and wildlife, and choose a slower shutter speed to introduce some motion blur. Now, the last of the four primaries is manual mode. With manual mode selected, you decide all of the camera settings. This includes aperture, shutter speed, ISO, and more. You have complete control, but it requires a good understanding of exposure and camera settings. When you fully understand the effects of aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, manual may be the best way to get the most perfect exposure. With manual mode, you are leaving nothing to chance and you take full control. Now, there's one other thing to consider when choosing the shooting mode, and that is how you want the camera to decide on ISO. To put it basically, ISO is your camera's visual volume control, and it affects how sensitive your camera's sensor is to light. With a low ISO, say from 100 to 400, you get the best quality with a minimal amount of noise. When you move up to a higher ISO, say 1600 and up, you're boosting the signal processing from the camera sensor so that it needs less light to produce the image you're after. The side effect of this choice is that the higher ISOs produce more noise and less sharpness. Now, if a high ISO is necessary to capture the shot you need, it's still better to have some noise than no shot at all. The part you need to be aware of is that you can set the ISO yourself, or you can make the choice of auto ISO where the camera picks it for you. If you're shooting in a fun and gun quick fashion, auto ISO may be the best choice for you. But if you're after the best quality you can get, then choosing the lowest practical ISO for the scene is a much better choice. So let's sum up. Program mode, suitable for casual shooting or situations when you want the camera to handle most settings. Street photography, family gatherings, and events can do well with program mode. Number two, aperture priority mode. ideal when you want control over the depth of field, such as for portraits or landscape photography. Number 3, shutter priority mode works well for capturing motion, such as action, sports, or wildlife photography. And number 4, manual mode offers complete control and is preferred when you have time to adjust the settings and want full creative freedom. When you understand what each choice means, you can make an intelligent decision on which mode is going to present the best opportunities for you to capture the image you're after. Personally, I rarely venture away from setting my ISO and shooting in full manual, but when it makes sense, another choice might be used. The bottom line is to learn what works best for your needs and your style. When you know enough about your camera so that it doesn't get in the way of you creating great photographs, then you get to pursue the full joy of photography. Thanks for joining me today. I hope to see you online again soon. Bye-bye.